The just concluded nominations of the United Democratic Alliance, UDA, went on smoothly in most parts of the country, despite a number of logistical problems and delays. However, the exercise exposed the DP's biggest weakness in the run-up to the next general election, with lower than expected voter turnout, yet one of the UDA's intention was to show how popular the party is, especially in Mount Kenya. The primaries were held across the country, in 36 counties, to nominate candidates for the 9 August 2022 general elections. The candidates were for the positions of the governors, in 13 counties, senators, in 18 counties, women representatives, in 28 counties, MPs in 138 constituencies, and MCAs in 834 wards. The DP, having learned lessons from the chaotic 2017 Jubilee Party nominations, personally played central role and supervised the primaries, to assure members of a free, fair and credible process, particularly in his strongholds of the Rift Valley and Mount Kenya. Thus, the UDA party was able to deliver largely successful primaries across the country, despite a slow start, and chaotic incidences witnessed in some areas. In the evening of the primaries, the DP exuded confidence that the party had carried out a credible exercise, and the process had gone on smoothly in most parts of the country, after the logistical challenges were dealt with.
Let me take this opportunity to thank the Hustler Nation, millions of members of the United Democratic Alliance Party across Kenya in 36 counties participated in these nominations of aspirants to demonstrate the overwhelming support that this party has received across Kenya. And I want to say to all of them, thank you very much and congratulations, and thank you for participating. And I want to say the exercise has gone on largely smoothly in 16,000 plus polling centers. I am a very proud member of UDA because today we have demonstrated that it is possible for a political party, young as UDA, to deliver credible, believable, democratic, free, and fair elections.
However, in some parts of the country, the primaries were rocked by confusion, delays in delivering voting materials to various polling centers, allegations of rigging, introduction of pre-marked ballot papers, and a lack of material security, among other things. Certain contenders also claimed there was ballot stuffing, saying that though the voting in some places lasted as late as 9 p.m., and all ballot boxes transported to county tallying centers almost immediately, several vehicles arrived with marked ballot papers at 3 a.m. the next day. As a result, enraged youths damaged several ballot papers on Friday morning, forcing the police to use tear gas to disperse the rioting groups. Before the nomination, the DP used a consensus approach to make various deals with aspirants, by persuading several candidates to step down in favor of others, lowering fierce competition, and averting stormy nominations in specific contests that would have been damaging to the party. This lowered the temperature ahead of the UDA primaries, averting clashes and fallout between his key allies over who is qualified to be elected in fiercely contested seats, especially in Nairobi, Kakamega, Tharaka Nithi, Narok, Kiambu, Kisii, etc. Moreover, the party decided to use the IEBC voter register, because it was aware that its own members' register, of which some UDA members have boasted it has over 8 million registered members, is inaccurate, or populated with people who were registered as UDA party members, without their knowledge or consent, and thus would not have turned up to vote in the UDA primaries. The party performed fairly well through the primaries, and showed growing organization skills to carry such momentous exercise in 36 counties, and in a single day. In the past, political parties had shown without institutional support, they had no capacity to conduct such a nationwide nomination exercise, and in one day. The party also demonstrated its popularity in the Rift Valley and Mount Kenya regions, where relatively new faces and enthusiastic young leaders defeated big names as voters turned out to reject well-established politicians in the party's nominations exercise. These youthful candidates have a potential to be elected to the positions they will be contesting, since a UDA ticket in the Kalenjin Rift Valley is one step closer to securing victory in the next elections. The DP hopes are that if UDA comes intact and unscathed from the nomination process, it would help the party a great deal ahead of the 9th of August elections, against the former Prime Minister Mr. Raila Odinga and Azimio Umoja, One Kenya Alliance. However, the primaries revealed some of the DP's biggest weaknesses, and the hurdles he must overcome if he is to win the presidential election on the 9th of August. First, the loss of many big names in the primaries might be an indication that the many candidates who he gave direct tickets, and were hence not subjected to the primaries, could be in for a rude shock if voters chose to reject them in the general elections, as they did to other bigwigs. This could deprive the DP the parliamentary majority he needs to pass his agenda if he is elected president. Secondly, and perhaps the most worrying for the DP, is the poor voter turnout in the Mount Kenya region during the UDA nominations. The primaries revealed the unreliability of the massive crowds who are usually present at his meetings, particularly among the youth, who identify with the Hustler Nation, but do not turn up to vote in the elections. The UDA party has consistently claimed that it has over 8 million registered members, and who were eligible to vote in its primaries, but even after deciding to use the IEBC voter register, the turnout was far below expectations. Traditionally, party primaries and by-elections have lower turnout than in general elections, but in this year's UDA nomination, turnouts were all below 50%, compared to those who participated in Jubilee nominations in 2017, and in extremely large percentages that cannot be ignored. This is because for the DP to have any chance of winning the presidency this year, he must repeat President Kenyatta's performance in the voter-rich Mount Kenya, where voter turnout averaged 85%, and gave the president more than 50% of the votes he got in his way to victories of the last two presidential elections in 2013 and 2017. Further, the voter apathy in Mount Kenya region should worry the DP, as President Kenyatta's votes were largely as a result of new voters, especially young people turning up to vote in large numbers. However, in all the counties where UDA held county-wide nominations, the turnout was underwhelmingly low. In Kiambu County, the gubernatorial contest, only 160,000 people, representing 13% of the 1.3 million registered voters, turned up to vote in the primaries. In 2017, the turnout in the Jubilee primaries was over 420,000, that represented 36% of the 1.2 million registered voters. In Karenyaga, a similar trend was witnessed, where only 84,000 people turned up to vote for the woman representative, from possible 380,000 registered voters, representing 22%. In comparison, for the same position, more than 166,000 people from 350,000 registered voters, representing 48%, voted for the Jubilee candidates in 2017. In Ruanga, the woman representative attracted a partly 134,000 voters, from 628,000 registered voters, that represented 21%. In comparison, for the same position in 2017, more than 324,000 people, from 587,000 registered voters, representing 55%, voted for the Jubilee candidates. In the DP's Rift Valley backyard, the cosmopolitan county of Nakuru, the situation was not better, and the Senate position attracted a partly 124,000, from over 1 million, registered voters, that represented 12%. In 2017 in the same position, 400,000 people, from 950,000 registered voters, representing 42%, voted for the Jubilee candidates. This low voter turnout in the UDA primaries might be an indication that the new voters' low turnouts in the IEBC's two enhanced voter registration exercises that were undertaken in October 2021 and January 2022 were not isolated cases, but could continue into the 2022 general elections. During the two registration exercises, IEBC only netted 2.5 million, a 40%, of the targeted 6 million new voters, mainly due to growing youth population disinterested in voting. Worse for the DP, the Mount Kenya region had only a fraction of those eligible to vote, registering as voters, making the region to have the lowest new voter turnout at 29%, compared to the national average of 41%. In contrast, the mass voter registration that was held in February 2017, IEBC registered about 3.8 million new voters, representing 62% of its 2017 targets, when Mount Kenya region listed 74% of the targeted new voters. Again, the counties mostly affected by the apathy are Kiambu, Kirinyaga, and Murang'a, that had 32, 25, and 22% age turnouts respectively. In 2017 the same counties had 90, 91, and 86% age turnouts. As a result of its failure to realize new voters' potential, during the registration exercise, the Mount Kenya region now has the lowest percentage of newly registered voters in Kenya's voting history. The region has long been renowned for its tyranny of numbers, with high voter registration and turnout in the two previous elections, in 2013 and 2017, where an impressive 82% of the registered voters voted. If this voter apathy persists, the DP and UDA should be very worried, because a lack of motivation among his two key constituencies, the youth and Mount Kenya people, who make up the bulk of his supporters, could greatly affect his numbers, and jeopardize his presidential bid. Therefore, DP and his campaign strategists must work very hard, particularly among the youthful population, to inspire, persuade, and mobilize them to turn up, to vote and support his candidacy. As things stand now, significant section of the Kenyan youth are disillusioned, fatigued, and fed up with the political class, who they feel are no longer working for them, and they view any attempt to influence who will be elected as a fruitless exercise. The politicians are seen to care more about themselves than they care for the people, and hardly honor pledges or fulfill the promises they make at every election cycle. Thus, the youth are fed up with queuing for long hours, only to vote in leaders who only care for themselves. This is a view shared by many Kenyans, who no longer trust politicians to address difficulties and problems that they face, like the high unemployment, the high living costs, and so on. The young people have lost faith in the democratic process, and see no value in their vote, as a change in government make no difference in their daily lives, or improve service delivery. As a result, frustrated young people have decided to give the political establishment a red card, as they are fed up with being used by the politicians, by not voting. The despondency and failure of the rising generation of younger people, ages 18 to 35, the largest demographic voting bloc, to participate in the elections, yet they could change the electoral balance of power, potentially erodes their advantage in influencing on who wins the presidency in 2022. If DP Ruto had managed to mobilize the majority of the potential first-time young voters, to whom he appeals most, to register as voters, they could have tilted the 2022 election in his favor. Given that the DP's core bases are his backyard of Rift Valley and the mountain, anything that negatively affects the turnout in these two regions in the general election will hugely impact on his state House bid. The DP needs over 80% in both Rift Valley and Mount Kenya turnout if he is to succeed, yet worryingly for him, the turnout has continued to be very low. Mr. Odinga may gain from voter apathy, as his traditional strongholds of Nyanza, Western, and Coast have historically had lower voter turnout than Mount Kenya and the Rift Valley. As a result, if his presidential bid is to succeed, the DP will have to go back to the drawing board to increase young people's participation in the August elections by persuading, encouraging, mobilizing, and sensitizing this TikTok generation on the importance of voting as a civic duty and having a say in the choice in the next crop of Kenyan leaders. The DP who faces an uphill battle if the voter apathy among the young people continues, for he needs their votes in order to win the presidency.